going to talk about borderline personality disorder. It's been a while since I've done a Facebook Live. Hopefully, this is of value to you. When we talk about borderline personality disorders or disorder, some people, from a common perspective, have such a misunderstanding of what that means. They hear borderline personality and think you almost have a personality. It's not what it's about. A borderline personality disorder is more about, well, first of all, it's a diagnosis. It's in the Diagnostic and Statistics Manual of the American Psychiatric Association. You can always look that up and see what all the symptoms and read what it's about there. But what it's about from my perspective is a way in which the individual sees the world, looks at the world, and as a result interacts with the world. A common feature of persons with this diagnosis is a history of abuse and or neglect. It's as if right from the get-go they grew up in a family where, the normal infant goes wah, and the parent says, "Oh, sweetheart, why are you going wah? What's going on?" But in this family, in this home, when the infant goes wah, maybe sometimes the parents are responsive, maybe sometimes not. So the child's wah, 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 wah. How much more do I have to signal, in a sense, to draw your attention to help me feel safe, secure, to deal with whatever the source of my distress may be? So sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. And at other times, that parent may actually be a threat, in a sense, a source of my distress. So I go, wah, and the parent may go, "I'll show you what to wah about." So this child develops a worldview that says there's a lot of ambiguity and ambivalence and uncertainty in the world, that those who are there to love me may be there, maybe not there, maybe the source of my pain may be unavailable, may walk out on me. So I don't have this stable sense of security. And with that, I see the world kind of in this black and white way, that you're either for me or against me in any particular moment. That can shift from moment to moment, as odd as that may seem. So it's not this stable, you are against me, but that person is for me. That view can be invested in the same person, but at different times over different issues. For the person with this borderline personality, they're always worried about, will you be there for me? Are you abandoning me? And that sense of, will you be there? Are you for me? Are you against me? Are you stable in my life? Creates such tension for the person who has been diagnosed with this disorder. And they enter into life from that perspective. Imagine if you're always worried that the rug is going to be pulled out from under you, and you're going with a spidey sense that wants to scan the environment and figure out, is it safe? Where is this person today? Are they going to leave me? And none of that is a reflection on your employer, employment, the person with whom you're seeking to have a relationship now. That has to do with the internal view of the world, that view that you're imposing on the world. And so as a result, these people can be difficult to get along with. they can have remarkably heightened emotions. Because if they worry or fear that you're going to do them harm by leaving, by being abusive, they may act out on that. And then you, on the receiving end, say, why are you treating me this way? And it's this person's misperception of the other. Sometimes it's not a misperception, but at least perception of the other that is actually contributing and creating the issues and conditions to which they are reacting to. I don't know if that made sense. Hopefully it does. Some people worry that this diagnosis, borderline personality disorder, is almost like a life sentence, that you're doomed. You're not. Good news, you're not. When you start to realize that there is something about you that you are bringing to your situations that are adding to or creating tension that can drive people away, then causing you to feel abandoned, when you realize that you're a part of that process, then you can, in a sense, be mindful, or in a sense, step out of yourself and look and say, oh, I'm thinking this, I'm doing that, it's not working for me. And you can literally use that to check in with the other person to say, I'll tell you what I'm feeling. It's not to say that you are creating this or causing this, but I'll tell you what I'm feeling because I need to check it out with you. And the other person may look at you and say, no, 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 that's not where I'm coming from. So maybe you just did have a fight, and the other person, oh, you know what? I need some space. Well, if you truly have this borderline personality disorder, to hear I need that space, that can trigger that sense of abandonment. That can ignite you. And that's where you can say, whoa, you need space. That triggers me. You will be back. Well, of course I'm going to be back. And you need to take that at face value. But this is where you can check out what is going on with you, what your interpretation is, what is the other person's intention, so that you can ease yourself. And if you are that other person, and your loved one is someone who presents in this way, if you need that space, do so kindly, saying, I need some space, I'll be X amount of time roughly, I will be back. Literally, I'm not abandoning you, I just need to regroup. You can truly use that language. So therapy, counseling for borderline personality disorder, this way of seeing the world, the result of most often upbringing. Hey, is there a genetic component? Some would say yes. Some would say yes. In my experience, there's often, if not always, some of these issues in the background. So if you have this diagnosis, you also need to learn how to modulate your own reactions so that your behavior doesn't create problems that you next take issue with, so that you can maintain a job, so that you can maintain relationships. So hopefully this, I'm now looking at the messages. Everyone is saying they can hear me and hello and whatnot. I'm glad, because doing these Facebook Live things, when I look at the video of myself, I am out of sync with what I'm saying, so it makes me wonder, is this actually being broadcast? So this is good. Thank you for that. So hopefully this quick little discussion about borderline personality disorder is helpful. It's not about almost having a personality. It's more about having a a broken or distorted way in which we look at the world, often the result of terrible growing up experiences that we've been exposed to. Yeah. And when we approach the world from that worldview, that in and of itself creates problems. So we have to learn how to manage that. Um, we have to learn to step out of ourselves, as odd as that sounds, and reflect back and understand where we came from and how that growing up experience can affect how we see others and act in the world. I hope this is helpful to you. I hope this is helpful to you. So the next time you find yourself in conflict, perhaps with your partner, say, you know, I was watching this Facebook Live with this guy, and he suggested that when I'm feeling distress or tension between us, rather than blaming you, I should reflect upon my upbringing and how that can create worry in my relationships. And so maybe I'm just feeling worried right now, which may or may not have anything to do with you, but the way in which I've learned to approach people. That is such a different dialogue than you were thinking this, weren't you? Where you're looking to project your thoughts, your feelings onto the other, which the other can feel quite objectionable about. Why are you attributing those awful feelings to me when that's not where I'm coming from? So as you can explain yourself and unpack what's going on live in front of you, it's a different dialogue. It's not coming from who's to blame. You're managing your triggers, and you're coming to realize, wow, this was an outcome of the impact of experiences from long ago. And as I do some reality testing in the moment, in the here and now, those worries need not apply to this situation. Take that with you today. Share that with a friend with whom you have concerns about either being on the receiving end of you, if you're this way, or you have concerns about because they may present this way. If you're going to share it with someone else, not from a place of blame and shame, but a place of, I just don't know if this applies, and I was thinking about you, and I care about you, and I thought this may be of interest to you. Okay? I'm Gary Derenfeld. I am a social worker by profession. You can go to my website, www.yoursocialworker.com. You can click on the link that says services and read about my services. So you'll see a whole bunch of different services. Click on any service. You'll read about my process. You'll see my sliding fee scale. I'm transparent in terms of what I charge, how I deal with money, how I deal with policies, you know, when I'm available. It's all there. I try to be as transparent as possible. One of the things you'll also see in reading about my services is that whenever I meet with someone, especially for the first time, it's a good 3-hour meeting. I have learned long ago that human problems don't tuck neatly into the standard 50-minute hour, and I wouldn't want to be told, oops, we're out of time, just when you think you're getting somewhere. So with the 3-hour chunk of time, we typically end where it makes sense versus arbitrarily for running out of time. And having 3 hours doesn't mean we have to fill the space. So if we only need an hour and a half or 2 hours, that's fine, and that's all I'm going to bill for. But I set aside 3 hours so that we have it. I haven't met another therapist who does that. It's not necessarily in the therapist's interest, but it is in the client's interest. So that is something that distinguishes my approach from many of my colleagues. Um, but you can read about that. You can see that on my website, yoursocialworker.com. I hope today was helpful. Take care. Now I got to figure out how to end this. I'll look for the button. There it is. Bye now.